Hello, computer gamers. This is Insomniac Andrew, and I'm bringing you another episode of From Dota to League. So, um, we've got a ninth episode today, and we are going over the champions Misfortune, Lulu, and Caitlyn. This is Lulu right here, but then I just realized I made a note. I did want to go back to, I think it was yesterday's episode, and point out something I forgot to mention with Swain, which I kind of hinted at. I was saying that, his basic is so important because having all that mana is helpful for his kit, and with some of these abilities, maybe it was the second one, I don't know, maybe it was his third. Anyways, I was mentioning, it's very good that he gets all that mana because he's able to keep casting all these spells, right? Alright, but his ultimate is interesting because it is actually a toggle, which means it's literally like, as long as you have mana, you can keep it on. So it's not just, like a mini Death Prod ultimate, which actually can target 3 units at the same time, but it's also, it can be on constantly, whereas with Death Prophet, it's not like that at all. She can't have it on constantly, so as long as he's got mana, he can have it on. So that could be really opening him up for like item builds that give him a lot of mana, perhaps. Like you could get, a tier, upgrade it to the Archangel Staff, for example. You get another tier and upgrade it to the Manamune or whatever. There's the Manamune, yeah. And so these items will each give you 1,000 mana once they're fully upgraded, which is really nice. So, let's see, how's that good? Well, I mean, with 2,000 mana, to work with, and then you get yourself like maybe the what is it called, Essence Reaver. This guy that restores a lot of your mana each time you attack, so that could probably help restore a lot of your mana, I would imagine. I don't know, I'm not too sure how he scales with like the attack damage and ability power and stuff like that, but I do know, because of his ultimate, he's really strong. And I would imagine that probably his ultimate is what scales with attack damage, much like with the Death Prophet, like her Assault Cuirass will increase the physical damage, which is her ultimate. So, yeah, I think he might be a little bit more flexible champ than some people think, but I'm not really sure. Anyway, moving on. Let's get back to Lulu. Alright. So, she's a very cool champion. She actually costs 6,300 again. So, won't be buying her anytime soon. But, I really do like her a lot. Okay, she's really flexible. First off, her basic ability, what is it? It's actually a damage ability. So, and it's based on her ability power. So she will make a regular attack, and then like this little fairy thingy that follows her around will also attack like 3 times or something like that. I'm not sure if it's just the graphic, or if I think it might actually damage the 3 times, but anyways, it's not very much. Like the ability power scaling is not that great, but it's still there, and so it's kind of nice because to have a scaling basic ability like that based on your items, that means she's really, really, really good with items. And I think pretty much all her other abilities scale with ability power as well. So let's check out her first ability. It lets her deal some damage and slow, and it's actually pretty long. It's a skill shot, so it's not it's a straight line basically. Or I guess she shoots 2 bolts. So although it is a straight line, it's kind of like a semicone. I want to say, I don't know, the the bolts, they do travel a little funny. Like one kind of goes off to the left a little, one goes off to the right a little. So I guess towards the middle of the range, it'll hit, straight where he shot, but maybe at the end, at the center, perhaps it won't hit. But it's still pretty strong and lots of fun. So it'll just go straight through all the units and damage them all for the same value, I believe. So that's nice. But it won't deal. It'll never deal double damage though, at least according to the tooltip. So keep that in mind. But it's a nice ability because it has some crowd control behind it. Now this is actually, I think, her simplest ability, and so that's cool. So for a beginner, you pick this up, then it's pretty straightforward how it works, and it's nice. It's not always easy to land your slow, unfortunately, so keep that in mind. But I'll tell you what, some of her other abilities are really helpful, but not in the way that you might expect. So let's check it out. Her second ability, now this is an ability that you can self-cast if you want. So you give an ally movement speed, and it also has another function. So if you don't cast it on an ally, if you cast it on an enemy, it turns them into a little squirrel or whatever, and as that adorable critter, that can't attack or cast spells, it will have reduced movement speed of like 60 or something. I'm not sure if it scales per level or whatever, but it's not as harsh as the movement speed, fixation like they have in Dota 2. So there's that. She might be the only one that has this ability in the entire game of League of Legends to turn someone into a critter. So keep that in mind. That's pretty cool. In Dota 2, of course, we got the Lion and we got the Shadow Shaman, and then we got the Scythe of Ice. All those turning heroes into critters. Anyway, so it's a pretty cool ability. I like it because it does have the two functions where a lot of abilities, they might have like a passive and an active, like a Shaco, but with her, she's basically has two actives. And it's not that it's an extra hotkey, it's different targets. That's how it works. And I really like that functionality. I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, and that's basically all there is to it. I mean, it helps you get out of trouble, so I would definitely recommend, if you like champions like Lulu and Vayne and, Kale, yeah, those kinds of champions, especially if they have a movement speed boosting ability, you should set up like another 4 buttons or so for your self casts. It's going to really help you get out of trouble, and of course it's helpful for your allies too. Now her third ability, what's this one all about? Well, this is another defensive ability, kind of like her second one there that gave her movement speed. In this case, it's actually giving shielding. So, and it's also, again, it has an enemy, a different cast. It's got a different active for the enemies. So first off, for allies, it's actually, it gives her a bonus to allies that aren't her, obviously. So if she just casts it on herself, she'll give herself a shield. Okay, there's that. But if she casts it on an allied champion that isn't her, it'll transfer her basic ability basically to that champion. So as that champion's attacking things, they will get the extra damage. So that's pretty cool. Now I'm not sure if that damage is going to scale off of their ability power or your own, but either way, it's pretty cool. I'd like to know from the experts of Lulu out there, if anyone's watching this, let me know, how does the help picks work when she transfers that fairy companion over? Does the damage scale off of your own, off of Lulu's ability power, or the allied champion's ability power? I'd like to know. So yeah, that would be cool to know. Anyways, moving on. So as if she casts it on an enemy, it tracks them. So that's pretty cool. It also deals some significant damage to them, I want to say too. Now I think all of her abilities are all dealing magic damage. Even her basic. So keep that in mind. Moving on. Her ultimate. Let's see. Lulu enlarges an ally. So this is pretty cool because it gives the ally bonus health. She can cast it on herself, of course, if she wants to. So this is another reason to use self cast to make her bigger. It any enemy that is near the big one is slower. So in addition to her first ability, she has another ability that slows. So that's pretty cool. And this is nice because you can cast it on like a tank or whatever. Somebody's going to jump into the enemy lines, and then all the enemies are going to be slowed. That's pretty cool. It's going to be hard for them to get away from like your entire team at that point. I like that. It's really effective. And so it also gives them health. So that way it's not just, oh, you're going to slow down the enemies, and they'd be like, well, if we can't run away, let's just kill this guy that jumped into us, right? Well, it's not that easy because they have a lot of bonus health that they're going to have to do some extra damage to be able to bring them down. So that's pretty cool. And I guess at the time of the cast, whichever ally is getting the extra size, they do knock the enemies into the air a bit, I guess, with the transformation, kind of like Dragon Ball Z or whatever transformations. So that's pretty cool too. So there's a lot of functionality behind this ultimate, and so that's pretty cool. I wasn't sure exactly what all the buffs were, but I knew it was awesome. But after reading the tooltip, that does make a lot more sense. Yeah, I think a lot of the time it's really scary and people don't know what they're dealing with. Yeah, and even if it isn't, she could still turn enemies into critters and stuff, and then it's not a whole lot they can do. So I feel like she's a really strong champion. Like, she's hard to get away from, and you can't you get timeouts, because, oh, I'm a little critter, or, oh, you can't run away, you have to fight with the enemies whether you want to or not. It just seems like a lot of fun playing her because she's so darn flexible. It feels like she's got like I want to say 7 abilities, because her basic counts as one, and then with Whimsy and Help Picks, she's got 2 extra ones where she casts it on an enemy and does something different. So yeah, I really like Lulu a lot. Now there's a bunch of other champions too in the game, of course, and one of them is Miss Fortune. Miss Fortune's pretty cool. I haven't played her this week yet, but I've played her in the past, and she's pretty straightforward, I want to say. She's not that complicated. Unlike Lulu, she's a attack damage champ primarily. I think she might have one ability that uses ability power, but I'm not sure if she does. Anyway, and she might also have some magic damage, but I'm not sure if she does. So yeah, she may or may not have ability power or magic damage, so proceed with caution, I guess, with your runes and masteries with her. Now, anyways, moving on, she will have, she gets like basically free mobility boots, so that's pretty cool. She can actually have a bonus of 70 movement speed, but it starts off at being 25 bonus. So that is really nice. Let's see, I guess we could calculate how long it takes till she gets to that. Okay, so I'm back. So it'll take her 11 seconds to get up to the 70 bonus movement speed. So after 5, it's basically 25, and then yeah, just another 6 seconds. So a little bit over double the weight, then you're gonna have way more. So that's pretty cool. Very handy, and I guess there's not much else to say about that. I mean, she could be in the right place at the right time because she's so mobile. So pretty cool. Moving on, she fires bullets at enemies, damaging them and a target behind them. So let's check this out just real quick. Boom. So yeah, it doesn't look all that special, but essentially it's I don't think it's a skill shot, but it's kind of a skill shot if you want to hit a second unit. So yeah, and that's actually partially dependent, I would imagine, on where the guy runs around to or whatever. I'm not sure if this homes in on people. Like, I know some abilities will like chase them down. Maybe it's just auto attacks, even if people flash and stuff like that. I would like to know things like that, especially, you know, if something is a targetable ability. I want to know if you can actually dodge it or not. So if anyone's an expert, let me know about this one. Alright, moving on. She passively increases damage dealt to a target with each strike. This ability activated, increase your attack speed and cause your attacks to lower healing received by the target. So she basically gets free grievous wounds with this ability if she activates it, and if she doesn't, then I guess she gets like a miniature little fury swipes thing going on. Let's check it out in the video. It's probably boring.
Guns blazing.
So the main thing to take away from this is that she scales well with attack speed, because you know she's going to be doing more and more and more damage, and this I'm pretty sure is going to be attack damage based ability. Nothing too special about it. I'm not too sure if it actually is going to scale through attack damage. I believe it won't, but I mean, just the fact that it is increasing anyways is pretty nice. I would say because of these small values, she's probably really good with armor penetration. I mean, just imagine it starts small and it might get bigger. I'm not sure if it would or not, but like if it doesn't, that's bad, first of all. But also if it doesn't, it just means armor penetration is that much more important. And anyway, the bottom line is, it does feel like if she's going to be attacking you more and more, it's going to be dealing more and more damage. And I believe this ability actually kind of synergizes with her other abilities, like her first ability and probably these other ones too, because I would imagine they all do attack damage, and they probably proc this passive of her second skill. So kind of like Varus, right? Varus has a second ability that's a passive, and it procs his other abilities proc it, but of course they proc him to deal magic damage. I believe with this she's different, it's just physical. So yeah. Anyways, pretty cool. Pretty simple. I mean, for her to play as, if you're playing against her, it might be a little bit complicated on playing against her. Mainly, you just want to you don't want her to keep shooting you a bunch of times, is the bottom line. Just kind of go all in, or you know, run away. So she's got another ability which is actually her form of crowd control. So she slows plus deals some damage, and this is actually one that's very likely to be magic damage, and also potentially does some ability power scaling. It may or may not proc this ability. And then so her ultimate, I'm pretty sure, is attack damage though. I mean physical damage. I don't know why I keep saying attack damage. So whether or not it scales the ability power or attack damage, I'm pretty sure it's doing physical damage. Or or if it is doing magic damage indeed, then it's probably scaling off of attack damage. I know that she's a very attack damage centric champion. So yeah, she laughs maniacally and she shoots a whole bunch of bullets, and it's a cone, and it's crazy stuff, man. You don't want to get caught in that. I think it travels through all the units too. These bullets don't get stopped, unlike Ash's volley, if I remember correctly, that is. And that being the case, it just makes this ability that much scarier. She's pretty strong. Obviously, she does a lot of damage, but it's like it's kind of build-ups, right? Like with her second ability. I'm not sure how much that scales. I would be very interested to find that out. I guess I'm gonna have to play her today to find out, because that she could actually be a stronger champion than I gave her credit for. If you made her quite a bit durable, like giving her some lifesteal and some health and stuff, perhaps she could really bring the pain. I really wonder about that. Although, I mean, to be honest, champions in League, they usually have enough mobility to the point where maybe it's not that useful for her to be able to rack up the damage over a long period of time. But I do want to say, if nothing else, she does appear to be a tank melter. Yeah. But, I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know the exact numbers behind this ability. If I knew them, then I would be more clear as to how effective she is against tanks. But as it is, she appears to be pretty strong. She can slow people down to make it harder for them to run away. So, pretty flexible choice of strategy I think you can employ with her, which I guess is why a lot of people like her, because it kind of fits their style of play no matter what their style is. Just because her skill set is so, I don't want to say like flawless, but it just all goes together so well, and is kind of no-brainers as to how to cast your abilities, I guess I want to say. So, pretty nice champion. And a little side point I want to mention, I don't know if you guys watch TV or not, but she kind of talks like, I don't know if it's because somebody talks like her or not, but there's this one show called Shake It Up. It's actually on the Disney Channel, and there's like Rocky and Cece. Actually, they're like Cecilia and Raquel. Anyway, the Cecilia, yeah, that gal with it's actually unnatural red hair, so she like pretends to be a redhead, but she's actually a blonde. But then her character like acts like a blonde anyway, so it works out. But of course she actually does dye her eyebrows too, and a lot of gals will not do that, and it's usually a giveaway. So with her, it's just the giveaway is just her attitude. But anyways, what I mean to say is she actually kind of talks like her. The way she talks, it kind of sounds like Misfortune, or Misfortune, the way she talks, it sounds like her. I'm not sure who's copying who. CC is probably copying Misfortune, I would imagine. I don't think Shake It Up's been around as long as Misfortune has been around. But anyway, pretty interesting little bit of trivia for you guys. And then moving on to the third champion we want to discuss today, Caitlyn. It's another, like, I want to say marksman like Misfortune. And so, you know, a lot of it is just going to be how she differs from Misfortune, you know. Let's look at her basic first of all. This lets her do bonus damage. So you can kind of think of it as like a Sheen or like Blitzcrank's punch up thing. Only in this case, it doesn't actually, it doesn't really matter, like, if, like, it's not an activatable thing, it just triggers on its own after a certain number of attacks, so that's kind of cool. Not much else to say. It does extra damage to minions than it does to champions, so, I mean, that's fair, right? It makes it easier for her to farm minions, I guess. so it's a lot harder to zone her out, basically. And besides that, it's not too strong to champions, basically, is the bottom line. So that's kind of cool. I'm not sure if it combos with her crits or not, or I would imagine it probably does. So I would like to know about that. Pretty interesting stuff. It's been a while since I last played her, and I don't think I remember getting crits on her. But if I did, I probably wouldn't have been paying attention to the numbers. So whatever. Moving on. What's her first ability that she can learn? She gets to it's like I'm not sure exactly what the deal is with this ability. Like, it looks fancier than it should be, doesn't it? Let's just watch the video. So I want to say this ability does not travel particularly far, because, you know, of course they are zoomed in quite a bit there on the video, and it's got a long startup, and then on top of that, it's kind of slow. So, but it's also relatively wide, so it's not particularly easy to dodge if you're close to her. So I would say, you know, the farther away you are from her, the less scary it is. At the same time, if you are close to her, it probably wouldn't be very hard to walk around her and not get hit by it. You know, if you know which direction she's shooting it in, it shouldn't be that hard to figure out. I guess maybe if she's wearing some skins, maybe it would be harder to tell, but I think most of her skins are pretty legit. So anyway, yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? I don't think it's a very great ability, but it could definitely help with picking up some extra hits on the creep waves, and it can help in team fights. You know, if somebody's fighting with your ally, then there's a pretty good chance they're still going to be fighting with your ally a second or so later. So in that case, it can be very reliable. So I would definitely recommend not necessarily casting it on somebody that's trying to take you down. Just use it on your lane partner, you know, when he's being attacked by somebody close up. Use it on your other dude when he's getting attacked in a team fight, you know, your tank or whatever. Protect your tanks with it, I guess, is what the basic function of this ability. So it's pretty cool, obviously, because, well, it deals damage. It probably ignores armor, which is why it says penetrating shot. If that's the case and it does scale with attack damage dealing physical, that's just ridiculous. I don't think it would deal physical, would it not? It just means penetrating because it goes past the first target, I think, is all that means. Yeah. So if there's multiples jumping on the tank, yeah, they're all going to hit by it, even though it will deal less damage to them. So whatever. Now, moving on. So she can, what is this? This is, oh, the traps. So this is not particularly special. I do want to wonder, how long do the traps last? It feels like they're infinite, which is kind of strange. Even if they aren't, they still last a long time, maybe like Teemo Shroom duration. But anyway, it will track anything that steps on it, and it deals some magic damage. It probably scales with ability power, but maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Either way, it's kind of annoying. So if I already have a lot of natural regeneration from like runes or items or stuff like that, and I see a lot of these traps lying around, since it does immobilize the champion briefly, I will just straight up just start stepping on these things, because they piss me off. Like, if you want to go after Caitlyn, if she has like a trap like to the side or whatever, and she charges up her first ability, you know, you're gonna have to choose. Are you gonna dodge this, or are you gonna step on the trap, right? It's like you can't win against her if she sets these up, and so she can kind of like use her first ability more wisely based on how her traps are set up. So what I do is I just get some regen, or maybe like gets a heal ability. I just straight up step on them traps. That way, when I do want to go on her, I don't have to deal with a lot of traps all over the place, because they do last like way too long. I don't know why they last so long, but they do. So keep that in mind. Regen kind of counters her rather well, so that's pretty cool. Now, she's got another ability too, though. It's not just the traps to protect her. She's got this other one which applies a slow to the target, and this one is much faster than the first ability. She shoots it out, and it's much harder to dodge. I don't know if it's the same width or not, probably, but either way, it will jump her back. So let's check this out real quick. See, oh crap! Sorry, my notebook fell on the keyboard. Where were we, Caitlyn? So let's watch the video of the net. So yeah, I mean, she jumps really far from about here, about the middle of the screen, pretty much to the other end. Of course, this is zoomed out, so it's not that big of a deal, but the point is, it's a pretty reasonable distance for her. It makes it a lot harder to catch her. And the cooldown is not very good, though, as you might expect, but still, in the heat of the moment, it's really effective. And especially if you like have a trap that's behind you and you want to get behind it, then this is a really good way to get behind it and make your opponent think twice about chasing you. So that's pretty cool. Because if you went to the up or down, then you could aim your first ability at them. So there's a lot of synergy with her skills. So she's a lot of fun to use, obviously. And of course, this ability does not really scale with anything as far as I'm aware, other than like cooldown reduction. Alright, moving on. So her ultimate is pretty cool. I don't really know the specifics. I'm pretty sure it's not magical damage though, but other than that, it's relatively similar to Sniper's ultimate. Although I think you can go invisible, but I don't think going into bushes helps. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the specifics, so if there's an expert, that would be helpful. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty cool because it helps you finish people off. One thing that I guess is kind of cute about it is that it can be blocked, kind of like Slark's pounce. You try to pounce one guy, an ally might jump in the way, and he gets pounced instead. So that's like whatever. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Of course, it doesn't work on regular units either, so you don't have to worry about that. So it's also similar to pounce in that way. So that'll pretty much finish up this episode 9. It's the third one again, so I'm gonna take a couple days break, and then we'll start up the episodes again on, I believe it's gonna be on Monday. I'll take Saturday and Sunday off, so that'll be nice. All right. So on Monday, what champions are we going to go over then? Let's see. Let's look at my past ones I went over. I want to say I wish I could remember better the first ones I went over, because let's see here. What was that? Aaron Shaco, and then Kale, really, Master E, Timo Annie Ash, Zed Luxnar, Stark Warwick. Okay. Alright, so yeah, we can go over Jinx. We haven't done her yet, so we'll go over her. I don't think we went over Karma either, so we'll do Karma as well. And did we do Callista yet? I don't. Yeah, we probably didn't do Callista yet. So we'll do Karma, Callista, and Jinx, all three of them right in a row right there. That'll be fun. That's for next week on Monday. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. That should be interesting. Yeah, episode 10 awaits. We'll catch you guys later.